Hey, what's going on, you guys? This is Madam Anyone, and I'm coming back to you guys again. And this news article is by TYT, Young Turks, the news outlet, and this is El Paso exposes Trump as a deadbeat. No surprise there. We've already known he's a deadbeat. His father's a deadbeat. His wife's a deadbeat. His children is a deadbeat. Like, his whole gene pool, in my opinion, is a failure. Take it back. Throw it away. Incinerate it. But, yeah. He basically got exposed for not paying his bill, his outstanding bill that he had with El Paso, Texas. And with that being said, we're about to go into that, and it's about $500,000. So let's get into it.
This is why, from my perspective, he is not welcome here. He should not come here while we are in mourning.
That is Democratic Representative Escobar from Texas, El Paso, Texas, to be specific. And she is incredibly critical toward Donald Trump, who says that he will visit El Paso, Texas, even though various city leaders have begged him not to as they mourn. But one other thing that was making news today was the fact that the Trump campaign still has not paid the city of El Paso the money it owes for Trump's rally. According to the Texas Tribune, the city attempted to charge Trump $470,000, over $470,000 for services related to his February rally, and they even tacked on late fees after he didn't pay. He was supposed to pay by May of this year, but failed to do so. Now, according to a communications manager in El Paso, the city staff have followed this process, the process and procedures as it relates to any invoicing that we provide, and we will continue to do so accordingly as per city and state policies. Since he was late, they tacked on a 21% late fee, which is steep, I will admit that, but he needs to pay. And I want to give you some more information about it. So there was an El Paso notice to Trump, basically like, you know, if you don't pay your bill, you get a notice in the mail saying, yo, you're late, you got to pay your bill. And they sent the same thing to Donald Trump. And I want to read you what it said. This was immediately after he failed to pay back in May. We are contacting you regarding the invoices listed above. We realize this may be an oversight on your part. However, your account with the city of El Paso is extremely past due. Your obligation to pay the invoice listed will remain on the city's books indefinitely until the debt is paid in full. Furthermore, the city may choose to not enter into a contract with an individual that is indebted to the city for more than $100. Well, considering the late fees, he now owes over $500,000.
So, important context. If you are a government official on government duty, basically, it's different rules than if you're doing a campaign event. And so he was specifically doing a campaign event in El Paso. And so, by the way, Beto also did a campaign event. If you remember, about 6 months ago, they had dueling campaign events. And Beto is not a deadbeat like Trump, so he paid his bill. So it's not like, hey, none of the politicians pay their bills, or like, wow, what an outrage to charge the president for coming to town. No, it is a very normal standard operating procedure. And for Trump, not paying your debts is also standard operating procedure.
Yep.
It's not like his campaign doesn't have enough money. They're swimming in money. They reported about $24 to $25 million in one quarter that they had raised. So now, you know, Trump talked about, oh, I'm going to finance my own campaign back in 2016. He did no such thing. He did the opposite. He had more small donors back then, but he also had large donors, and he'd take their money and pay himself exorbitant rent above market prices for using Trump Tower as his headquarters. He was always a scam artist, but now, because he's the president and has that power, the corruption has kicked into high gear. So he now has huge donors, massive multinational corporations that are giving him tons of money. So he has easily enough money to pay the bill. He's just a deadbeat by nature. It's in his DNA. So they just don't want to pay, so they don't pay until you absolutely force him to pay.
So it's not just about him being a deadbeat. I think that what this shows is who he really is as a person. And I mean, we already know when it comes to his bigotry, his racism, all of that. But it's about how he treats other people, even if other people help him out, right? So the city of El Paso provides the police and the security he needs to do this rally. They did right for him, on him, and, you know, they provided what he needed. And he doesn't care. Even if you play by his so-called rules and give him what he needs, he will turn his back on you. He is incredibly disloyal and disrespectful toward anyone and everyone, including people in his own cabinet. He has no loyalty or respect for any human being. The only person that matters to Donald Trump is Donald Trump.
100%. And so, look, I gotta say, normally after a tragedy like this, I don't think it's right, no matter how much you don't like the president. In this case, I think he partly fueled what happened. But even so, if the president comes to town to do mourning, you gotta let him come, right? And this is not a campaign event. But at the same time, when the president owes you, his campaign owes you $500,000, and he just won't give it to you, I don't know what you do with a deadbeat like that. So,
Jake, it's not just about that, though. I mean, look, maybe I'd buy that argument if Donald Trump wasn't spouting the anti-immigrant rhetoric that fueled the violence in El Paso.
Right.
But there's a correlation there, right? The shooter put out a manifesto that used the exact same language that we hear from Donald Trump in regard to immigrants. I'm sorry, but if I were a politician in that area, I would not want Donald Trump there.
yeah, I know why the politicians say it. It's very popular to say it there. And
Okay, so I'm gonna stop that video right there. Basically, again, I agree with what he said, and I definitely agree with what she said. It was because of Donald Trump that the shooter even worked up the courage to even take out and go through with what he did. He was at best guess an avid Trump supporter through all his bullshit, through all his lies. You know about people that they consider to be immigrants. I have said this once, I've said this before. This is not your country. This is stolen land. Even when Queen Elizabeth sent men out to search for New World to expand her empire, you were basically going to different places in the world and taking them over. So you're on stolen land. Let's not, not talk about the elephant in the room. You're on stolen land. Your father's an immigrant. He was a slumlord and a pimp. He was no good. He taxed and spent the majority of his time when he ran a apartment complex, overcharging and basically, terrorizing people of color to live in his building. To say that Trump is a waste of skin would be an understatement. Just another entitled asshole that feels as though, this is my country, my land, and it's not. It's not your country. All the Trump supporters, this is not your country. Yes, you were born here, but this is not your country. Okay? Technically, you're still considered invaders. In a sense, because you took over things, land, property, and people that did not belong to you. Okay? So, let's get in a little bit into our history books and go back and find out how all this started. And I bet you it'll come up. You're on stolen land. You took this land by force. It wasn't given to you. You conned and schemed your way into this world, this side of the pond. Okay? And then you say, oh, this is my land, and anyone who doesn't stand for the pledge of allegiance, and anyone that doesn't respect our military, and this, that, and the third. You don't even respect your military. Do you understand how many vets, how many people that have served bravely in the military that cannot get adequate medical help, have their medical expenses paid for, psychiatric treatments for the to cope with what they've seen in battle? Okay, so I'm at a loss at why people are still now in 2019 still tiptoeing around this. You can call it what you want to call it, but the truth is the truth. This is not Donald Trump's land. This is not his country. He is an invader to these shores. Okay? And everybody that feels the way Trump feels, you are an invader to this country, to this shore. You are the definition of domestic terrorism. And that's exactly what it was when that man killed, the people in El Paso or in Ohio, or, any person like Dylan Roof, which, if you look at it, there's a pattern. Okay? There's a pattern. But nobody wants to talk about the elephant in the room. It has long been, statistically, historically, white, young to middle-aged men that have been domestic terrorists on U.S. soil. Okay? Let's be clear. Let's be clear. Statistics don't lie. History doesn't lie. It's domestic terrorism. They are terrorists. Okay? The mere fact that, you slap, oh, they were mentally disturbed, or this, that, and the third, does not take away the fact that they are terrorists on U.S. soil. And it is an extreme dishonor to the Constitution and the founding fathers, if we want to go there, to not call them what they are and punish them the way that they need to be punished. So miss me with all that other extra stuff. He is not my president. I do not acknowledge him as my president, let alone a human being. Trump is trash. Fuck Donald Trump. Shout out to the people that don't want him to come there. He should not be welcomed there. I don't care if he is the president. He should not be welcomed by any circumstances. To be honest, he refuses to pay these people. He refuses to even acknowledge that there is an outstanding bill with the city of El Paso. But you want to come there and mourn for people that you have set there time and time and time again and said that they were murderers and that they were rapists. And basically, I'm going to put it to you like this. Everything that he said about people of color or immigrants is the same exact thing that they have done to quote-unquote immigrants and people of color. Okay? People of color and immigrants are not, terrorists or drug kingpins, and you can thank Reagan for that. You can also thank Bill Clinton and his wife for that, and many others that have held office, Jimmy Carter, and all the rest of the presidents for that, and Bush. You can thank them. Those are the drug dealers. Those are the terrorists. Those are the thugs. Those are the animals that need to be caged up. Those are the ones that need to, be dealt with the way that they have dealt with immigrants and people of color. I'm sorry. I mean, that's my honest opinion. And since everybody wants to hide behind freedom of speech, it is my right to say that. If you disagree with that, you can do that. But at the end of the day, the truth is the truth. You put a coward in office. You put a underachiever in office. You put in a full-blown racist in office. That's not to say that any of our other presidents wasn't racist. Bush, Jimmy Carter, Reagan, Theodore Roosevelt, a whole bunch of people that have been these quote-unquote iconic presidential people that the world just so loves and admires, were really drug dealers, racists, bigots, and all around were able to work the system and con men or con women. So it is what it is. Drop down in the comments. Tell me what you tell me what you feel about this, regardless if it is good, negative, positive, whatever it is.